Despite the U.S. exit from the Paris Climate Accord, the agreement still stands. But will China, one of the world's biggest polluters, keep its agreement to going green? And how do they plan to do it? Joining me now is Chi Ye, a senior fellow and director of Brooking's Tsinghua Center. Thank you for joining us so much, Professor. What is China's commitment to going green?
Well, under the Paris Agreement, China pledged to reach a peak of carbon emission by 2030, excuse me. Just around that time. At the same time, China is making every effort to reduce air pollution, which is related to coal consumption and consumption of other fossil fuels. So also, China is working on this idea of ecological civilization to preserve the natural treasures within the country. So there are several fronts that China is working on to build a green economy right now.
Tell us, in what ways has China shown global leadership with its environmental initiatives?
Well, right now, China is the biggest emitter of greenhouse gases, and just exceeded the United States a couple of years ago. And now with the U.S. withdrawal from the Paris Agreement, China is pushed to that position. China has to lead in this greenhouse gas emission reduction effort globally. And several years ago, when China worked with the United States to reach agreement, to help reach agreement under in the Paris conference, and now China is alone over there, working with some other parties like the EU, to lead forward for the Paris Agreement.
Can you give us some examples, Professor, of how China is addressing the environmental problems?
Well, on the front of carbon emission, China has closed down many inefficient or less efficient power plants, and but the amount of power plants closed down, the capacity of generation of electricity, and it has already exceeded to many of the countries for the total capacity, for instance, the United Kingdom. And now China's the power generation efficiency is among the highest ones. In addition to that, China has become the largest investor in clean energy ever since 2009. Currently, China is it's more than 1/3 of the investment on clean energy. In addition, China is also making effort on controlling carbon emission from the transport sector, making a higher and higher standard on the fuel economy standard, higher than the United States, and catching up with the EU standard. There were several activities that related to controlling the carbon emission. In terms of air pollution control domestically, the area where I live, in Beijing, Tianjin, and the Hebei area, there are so many factories that are closed down in order to limit the emission of air pollutant. And China is also working on water pollution problem in many cities and many rivers and lakes. And